Hey, folks, we got, believe it or not, from a real estate perspective, we got the holidays right around the corner. And then once again, I don't know if you know this, Ian. There's an election, kind of big one.
Dun, dun, dun.
Just right around the corner. And by the way, everyone vote. You should vote. I'm not someone that says if you don't vote, you can't complain. I'm just going to say if you're an adult, you should vote. You have a right, you have a freedom to vote, and it should, I think it still will, make a difference. Let your voice be heard. Equip your children, train them to be involved. Now, don't live and die with it, by the way. It's not eternal. You don't have that much control, but cast a vote. Get informed. You still have time right now to get informed, gather information. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm not even going to tell you how to make your decision, but I am going to tell you, what do you care about? What world do you want to see? What world do you want your children to grow up in? Not just selfishly, not just what works for me, although that's fine. Choose the things that generally will go well for you, but think about your fellow man. Think about your neighbor. Think about your community as a whole, and then go and let your voice be heard. Okay, so there's our public service announcement.
10 days to the election. You know what's more exciting?
Wait for it. Courtney, get ready. Get ready. 10 days until what?
The election.
And
59 days till Christmas.
Let's go. I like to have a goal to have all my Christmas shopping done before Halloween so that I can enjoy November and December.
Santa's coming to town.
I don't want to brag.
Oh my God.
But
wait, do you not enjoy the searching for the gifts?
I like Christmas shopping like the week before Christmas. It's more exciting.
I used to, but I think just making sure that everyone is tended to is, I think as a mother, you can't relate to the burden
100%.
of everyone's experience.
There's a stand-up comedian that does a skit on Christmases and birthdays on the perspective of the dad. And he's like, oh, it's so exciting being a dad on Christmas. And the kids open their presents and they're like, what is it going to be? And the dad's generally like, I don't know. What is it going to be?
That is my
Because the dad has no idea.
That is my dad.
It is me as well. I'm
He's
like,
like, what'd you get?
What is it?
And then they're like, tell your dad thank you. You're like, okay.
I love to give a great gift too much to be totally out of it. But I'm in the above the bar gift giving category of like, all right, which one are we doing big for him or for her? Or I got something really awesome I want to get another family member, But anyway, holidays are coming up, folks.
Y'all aren't managing the stockings.
Oh, no.
Stockings are my department.
Is mine.
Lord.
Yeah. By the
Audrey
way,
handles everything, and now she will buy like a couple of gifts for the stockings, but other than that,
hold on.
especially the scratch-offs.
Hold on.
I'm in charge.
This is a fun
Cigarettes
fact.
and scratch offs for the kids. That seems fair. Okay, hold on.
Scratch-offs.
Hold on.
Ian's kids definitely smoke.
Yeah.
They can't
Listen.
start them too young.
To be clear,
Gambling.
Ian's kids don't
Gambling.
smoke that he knows of.
Just gambling.
Now, really quickly, when you say stocking, we got to move on. This is, in fact, a real estate radio show. But when
but we're talking about Christmas.
We're going to talk about the holidays and how they really do impact the real estate market. So stay tuned. But when you say stocking, what do you mean? Quick answer.
That hangs above the fireplace.
What does it look like?
Looks like a stocking. It's kind of a J shape.
He says it as if it's only one thing, and his mind is about to be blown. How big? How wide? What is it?
We'll call it
2 feet.
2 feet.
Okay, and it looks like a giant sock.
Yeah, but mine is Yankees themed.
Oh, that's
Go
disgusting.
Yanks.
Gross.
With a monogram. Mine are custom
Hope it doesn't
sewn
fall in the fire this year.
by my mother.
Custom sewn
They
by your
are
mother.
some of
they
my most prized possessions.
generally the same shape and size that he's talking about?
That's correct.
Okay.
A giant sock.
Now, that is not what a stocking looks like at my house.
Then you are wrong.
Would you like? Are they like hose?
I'm going to mute him because you know what?
They're made of gold.
What do you have, like hose, women's pantyhose hanging
Yes.
from the? Oh my gosh! No, you don't.
Yes. I grew up with, and nope, you don't touch that, sir.
You grew up with pantyhose hanging.
Not pantyhose, but hose. a nylon or whatever the material is of a woman's hose, but not the built-in underwear ones.
Sure. Just the
one leg,
stocking.
one
Yes.
log leg that's like when it's full of stuff can be 4 or 5 feet long.
Yeah.
This is my family's tradition, and it is so weird and glorious. Okay, so listen. it's like laying on the ground because it's too heavy and too fragile to hang from something. So it's laying on the ground, and I grew up with a brother and a sister, 3 of us, and it sort of designates like that's your spot on the floor. And then the largest apples and oranges you can find are sort of like the expanders along the way. So in his dirt baggery, Ian just yelled gold as if we're like bougie fancy people. It's the opposite. It's like someone's nylon. But this is, by the way, it is a stocking. That's where it came from. People call them their stockings. And so it would have like lots of really traditional, like Southern traditional family things. So it would have oranges, apples, it would have some candy, it would have small gifts. My brother and I got Brute cologne every single year, and we shared a bathroom, and in the back of it was just like 16 Brutes because we barely ever used it, but that was it. We had to get one every year, each get one. So they're like, let's just say 5 feet long, and they're little things. They're candy, they're trinkets, they're package of peanuts or stuff like that. But beef jerky, we used to get Slim Jims when we were little. Step into a Slim Jim. Anyway, that's what a stocking is at our house.
All right.
Now, we have the normal stockings that hang, and we don't always do those other ones at our family because obviously we're merging 2 families' traditions. But holidays are around the corner, folks. You can still buy a house. You can still sell a house, but it absolutely impacts the buying and selling
If I
house.
put my house on the market now, is it going to be the holidays?
So let's just say end of October.
Is that bad?
If you called us right now and we got your house on the market in the first or second week in November, because you should not talk to an agent and put your house on the market the same day, barring like a lot of prep. You do need at least a week or so of getting your head together and using a little strategy. You're going to come out ahead, as with any professional environment or expertise or leadership, with some planning. So let's just say we got on the market early in November. We still have time for you to find a buyer, negotiate that, go through inspections and all that stuff, sell, close, fund, and move, and enjoy the holidays. Potentially even Thanksgiving. That would be pretty tight. But definitely Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, mid to late December. No doubt about it. Now that timetable is crunched. Ian, I know you talked to a lot of people about this when they call the office. So let's just say someone called and was like, hey, I still want to sell a house and buy a house and move before Christmas. How would you walk them through the timeline of actually achieving that before Christmas? He was muted, but I will now grant you permission if you speak kindly.
I can't guarantee anything.
No, I can mute you again.
Again, what's the question?
If someone wants to buy and sell and move before Christmas, that feels like I still have a good bit of time. Can you walk people through that timeline of what that actually means?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk with somebody. We're going to say, hey, normally it's at least like a week before we're going to go live on the market with somebody, maybe 10 days, something like that. And that's assuming that people are like ready to go. So if you was to call us today, let's say we would go live on the market the first week of November. Let's just pick a date and call it the 6th. Okay. Then you're looking at, last week we talked about average days on market being somewhere in that 40-day range, right? Now, we guarantee that we're going to sell homes under the average time and over the average price. So, but you still might be looking at a month, okay, to get under contract. And then guess what? It's another 30 days to be able to get the closing done, unless it's a cash offer. Then you might be a week or two. But usually speaking, it's going to be 30 to 45-day close. And so you're about 2.5 months in. So we're into January. Like we're closing in January more than likely if you was to give us a call and get the house on the market. Now, there is a good chance that in the right situation, the right scenario, we could have it closed by Christmas.
Just in the last week.
But it's a maybe.
We had 2 homes go on the market and both sell opening weekend over the average price. Obviously way under the average time right now. Average time right now is 40-something days, and it was 2 and 4, I think, 2 and 3.
Yep.
10K over. The point is this. That is, with our team, it's still possible.
It is possible.
It is still possible to get your house on the market, get it sold, find a house, get it bought, get moved in, and enjoy Christmas and the holidays.
Even if we got it under contract, though, in 30 days, that's 25% quicker than the average. So you're on a win right there, too.
Yeah. The point is this. If you want to achieve that, we should be talking right now. 214-310-0008. You should give us a call, 214-310-0008. 0008. We'll get you on the phone with one of our full-time, fully dedicated, world-class real estate agent professionals who specializes in working with sellers and potentially also with one of our buyer specialists. And then they'll work together. You'll actually have 2 agents plus staff and team helping you sell and buy and coordinate between the two and get you in by the holidays or by the end of the year or your desired timetable. That's 214-310-0008 or online at
TouchYourMoneyTeam.com.
Somebody else that you're going to want to talk to is Patrick Gleros and his team at Cardinal Financial. They're going to be the ones that help you to get a mortgage. If you are looking to refinance, you can talk to them about that. PatrickGleros.com is where you can go to start an application directly on his website. PatrickGleros.com, G-L-A-R-O-S, PatrickGleros.com. 972-728-3420 is the phone number. NMLS number 308804. TouchYourMoneyTeam.com is where you're going to go to click on the radio tab and find all of the recommended pros and vendors, as well as you can check your home valuation. If you haven't done that recently, head over to TouchYourMoneyTeam.com, click on the home valuation tab, and in less than 60 seconds, you can find out what your home is worth, what it would rent for. You can see things about home equity. You can get a cash offer. There is a plethora of things you can do on the site, TouchYourMoneyTeam.com. Click on the home valuation tab.
And now, this.
In the market update segment of the show, which we are doing more and more often because there's actually some changes in the market. For a while there, it was kind of same old, but there's some real changes in the marketplace. You know, all year long, Ian and Courtney, people have told us, I'm going to wait until the election. And we often respond to them and say, look, you can do whatever you want. Historically, the data tells us that whatever real estate decision somebody was going to make, they end up still making. It's sort of an emotional, psychological thing, but ultimately, very rarely do people, because a certain candidate or party is elected, change their actual actions about if they're going to buy, sell, or not. I'm not saying no one does, but on the whole, the average, the data says people end up just moving forward with what they do, which means post-election, in an election year, we actually see more real estate activity at the end of the year and the beginning of the following year than normal because people waited and then they still do it. So let's just see, though, based on 2020, who's likely to win which county. So if you were waiting for a certain candidate and you're like, oh, shoot, if Trump wins, I'm buying. Or if Kamala wins, I'm out of here. You know, whatever it is. Okay. Courtney, in Dallas County, what percentage of the vote did Donald J. Trump get in 2020 in Dallas County?
I'm going to say 40.
33%. In Dallas County, Biden got 65%. That is a total of 98%, Ian. I would assume Donald Duck or Mickey Mouse got most of the other votes.
I got 1%.
Statistics show Donald Duck gets like
pretty
1%.
High.
Yeah, I'm not eligible, but they still voted for
Ian,
me.
in Collin County, what percentage of the vote? He's looking at the numbers.
No. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't.
Please go ahead.
Oh,
Please go ahead.
he's going to nail it.
In Tarrant County,
Yep.
what percentage of the vote was a third-party candidate?
I'm going to say that was 0.5. Just as a random guess.
Yeah, you're off because you couldn't do the math for the data you had in front
I
of
don't
you.
have the data in front of me. It's a
Quite-
total guess.
98.4% voted for Biden and Trump, which means 1.6% were a third party or a fictional character, probably a majority of fictional character. 49.3% went Biden's way in Tarrant, 49.1% for Trump. Now, Collin County, that was Tarrant County. I apologize.
That's the one you asked me
I
for.
apologize. I asked you Collin. I looked at the wrong
You
numbers.
asked me Tarrant.
Okay, good. Collin County.
The answer is 0.6, but that's at 0.5 because I was trying to show that I wasn't looking at the
Yeah,
numbers.
you were trying to lie. Collin County, Courtney, who won? Okay, they're just looking at the numbers now. Trump took Collin County. The trend typically is as you got further away from the densely populated urban areas.
Pretty 50-50.
You went. So Trump had 51.4 to Biden's 47.1. And then Denton County, another large county in the area, Trump took it 53.45. So generally speaking, there were exceptions. But in Texas, as you got away from the bigger cities, Trump's numbers went up. And as you got into the more densely populated cities, Biden's numbers went up or Trump's numbers went down, however you want to look at it. So is that going to be a predictor of what happens next week? Probably. Who the heck knows? I really, at this point, have no clue.
I'm going to hedge my bet and say yes.
But hedge reference. But
it will be interesting to see if it's the
it's
same.
always interesting. It's not always encouraging. And I don't mean because your person wins or loses. I mean just because it's such a mess. But if you are waiting to buy or sell or rent or invest based on that, we're there. So I would say give us a call on that too, and we can get our ducks in a row so that you can buy, sell, move, invest, or just get really angry. 214-310-0008. We can help you do whatever it is that you intend to do after whoever wins the election wins the election. 214-310-0008 or online at
TouchRemindingTeam.com.
It is going to be really interesting. I am interested to see what happens in the real estate market after the election, especially if we get like another rate drop, which the expectation is, I think, that we're going to have at least one more before the end of the year.
Yep.
So I'm curious to see like how is this going to affect things? How is people's expectations going to be? How quickly will people kind of act on things? Because there is a lot of people that are waiting, and there's a lot of people that have been waiting for both of these things, for rates to continue to drop and the election to happen.
Historically speaking, just meaning looking at past presidential election cycles, you see some slow people wait, and then they basically do what they were going to do. So annually, the data looks pretty similar. It's pretty predictable. But in the election year, every fourth year, we see a lot of it get pushed to the end of that year, if not early the following year. So ultimately, people are like, I'm not buying if so-and-so, and then they basically end up buying anyway because their family, personal needs end up outweighing sort of the emotion and even logic of politics. So we will see if that's true again. I'm not making any predictions, but if you're waiting, we should have a conversation now about what we want to do in a week or two so that we can make the best decision for you, your family, and your finances. 214-310-0008. Now, Ian, I don't know if you know this. It's very new.
Okay.
But there's a jingle for DP Lambert at Goosehead Insurance. It's sweet.
There is.
It is a new sensation sweeping the nation. But it's the DP Lambert jingle, and people are loving it. And wait just a second, but...
And now, this.
DP Lambert, just give him a call.
It was different to the last one.
Well, it's
Little slower.
It's
Little
developing.
slower.
It's developing.
I forgot the tempo. DP Lambert.
Lambert. DP.Lambert at goosehead.com. Just renewed my home insurance. Had done the auto a little while back. Anything I need in relation to insurance, I just call or text DP. And then the vast majority of it, the lines that he handles. And occasionally he'll say like commercial insurance or something like that. He'll say, oh, use this person. And so I use a Goosehead guy for my commercial as well, for the office and stuff like that. DP is...
You should start using me.
I have an alternate jingle I'd like to potentially just kind of
ready on the mute.
riff with you here.
Ready on the mute.
You ready?
Yep.
Oh my
Ready.
gosh. What have we done?
If you need insurance and you need it now, who you going to call? DP Lambert! Huh? How's that?
I don't hate it. If you need insurance,
Lambert at
you need it
goosehead.com.
now.
DP.Lambert
Who you gonna call?
at goosehead.com.
DP Lambert.
DP.Lambert at goosehead.com.
All
right, folks.
Did he pay extra this
God, you may not pay anything. If all else
we
fails,
owe him for money for that.
If all else fails, go to ToddTremontiTeam.com, click the radio tab, and you'll find all the pros and experts that we talk to or we talk about or we quote or reference here on the show.
Can we upload our jingles to the site and maybe we can see little tests which one gets more plays?
0 downloads later. Okay, folks. DP's really great. We just made a fool of that segment, but he is an expert. He is so communicative. He's so high character in his desire to help you protect you and your family and to just tell you the brutal, honest truth about the cost of insurance and how it's gone up and not to hide from it, not to try to lower your coverage without telling you to get your price down, but to get you the best coverage at the best possible price and take care of all the heavy lifting for you. DP.Lambert at goosehead.com.
I think my actual text message to DP was, hey buddy, I think my homeowners is about to expire, so you're going to need to look at that, which scares me, with a crying emoji.
Yeah, he was on the show 3-4 weeks ago and just told everybody like, hey, your insurance agent or broker is not making this choice. The big giant companies have decided, we're not insuring in Texas anymore. So there's fewer choices. And the ones that are here have jacked up the expenses on wind and hail because we have a lot. And the overall cost of insurance everywhere is up. Now, you can yell and scream the big, bad, terrible insurance companies all you want. But the fact is, the vast majority of us need it, have to have it, and the rest of us should want it to be protected. Therefore, you got to deal with it. So you can deal with it blind. You can trust some website. You can just search by price only and hope your coverage, your actual what you're covered for is good. Or you can talk to an expert.
It's what we were talking about last week when we were saying that there is no normal real estate market. Well, there's no normal insurance market.
It's always moving.
You just got to roll with what it is that we've got. And this is what we've got. So
what a spot.
Roll with it.
dp.lambert@goosehead.com. Okay, folks. If you need anything, you should just go to toddtremonti.com. We talk about a lot of different topics. Find out your property value, get a cash offer, sell your house, buy a house, find out if you're ready, check out these different areas, track your home equity, all that stuff, including searching all houses publicly for sale by all companies in DFW. You can do all of that at toddtremontiteam.com. You can do it day or night, phone, tablet, computer, laptop, whatever. toddtremontiteam.com. toddtremontiteam.com. Now, we're going to circle back a little bit later in the show, and we're going to talk about a couple of areas. We're going to talk about Colleyville, which, by the way, is just absolutely exploding. We were out there for a kids' sporting event the other day, and it only been 6 months or so since I've been out there, and I'm like, man, is this place growing like crazy, and it's cool. So we're going to talk about Colleyville a little bit, and then we're going to touch on, what is the price of the homes on land dream right now? What does it look like? Can I achieve that lifestyle? Courtney, you and I get comments on videos and podcasts all the time where people are like, is that still possible? We dream about this, but it feels so far out. So we're going to talk a little bit later in the show about what does it look like to actually achieve that. But right now, if you are thinking about buying or selling a home, if you would like to get that done before the end of 2024, we need to be on the phone now. 214-310-0008. Now, there's no pressure. If you're not wanting to get that done before the end of the year, it's time for you to go ahead and reserve what we call a free strategy session. We do them throughout the month of November and December, and we really, really dedicate a lot of time in January for what we call a free strategy session to help answer any of your questions about real estate. What's available? What's possible? I hear all these headlines. Where is their new home availability? Can I still get an existing home? What is my payment going to be? What budget would I need to have? Is it possible to get a bigger lot? Is it possible to get more bedrooms? Is it possible to have a home office? We want to talk about any of your goals, any of your what ifs, any of your lack of clarity, any of your frustration or confusion related to your real estate at no cost to you. You don't have to sign anything. You don't have to hire us or anything like that. As a matter of fact, we'll buy you a cup of coffee or a water or a Coke or a Topo Chico or whatever you're into. If you would like to register or sign up for a quick 30 to 90 minute free strategy session between now and the end of January, we really emphasize those. You can simply text the word strategy to 214-310-0008, or you can just call 214-310-0008.
One thing on that, last thing really quickly, Gibson on our team met with multiple folks last January.
Yep.
And when we say this, you can't do this too early, we want to just have a conversation with you. He has 2 people that are under contract right now because he met with them in January and we just laid out a game plan that was going to work for them this year.
Specifically, though, these were people that had thought about investing, buying an investment property for years and years and years and years and never pulled the trigger until they just had a cup of coffee with him, asked some questions, and they were like, wow, this is way more achievable than I thought. And now they're actually getting in the game and buying investment property and building wealth through real estate, hedging against inflation with real assets and all the things we talk about. Check it all out online at toddtremontiteam.com. How much land is the right amount of land? People are always talking about bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, price, of course, all important things. And then lot size tends to be you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. I would like to encourage people to think a little bit more about lot size and more about the life you want to live outside of the physical structure of your house, townhome, condo, whatever, and think about the home as all of it. How much land is the right amount of land? We're going to get to that a little bit later in the show. We're also going to get to your questions, 214-310-0008. You can also find us online, toddtremontiteam.com. Just Google the name Todd Tremonti, wherever you do find us. if you're at all thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate or making a big real estate decision of any kind, start that conversation sooner than later. So many people, especially as we close out a calendar year, are regretting that they didn't get done something in the world of real estate that they had wished they were going to this year. And the reality is that probably all hinged on just having a conversation with a true professional that could help equip, resource, create a reasonable timeline, create clarity. That's almost always the difference in doing it, achieving the goal, and not. Sometimes it's lack of funds or lack of availability or whatever. But so often, it's just that the conversation hasn't been had yet. They haven't gained clarity yet. So if you're thinking about any of those things, give us a call, 214-310-0008. Call the Todd Tremonti Home Selling Team, where I have hand-selected, trained, and equipped alongside Ian and other leaders, an incredible team of full-time, fully dedicated, world-class real estate specialists working out of our Dallas side office in Richardson, Fort Worth side office off of Lackland. We are here to serve you. ToddTremontiTeam.com.
You know, we've been highlighting little different places over the last few weeks.
It's true.
And I don't know why I said a little, because none of them are really little, because this is North Texas. So today, I would like to discuss the wonderful place, magical if you would, Colleyville. Huh?
Yeah. Before we do that, let's just go ahead and hit him with the old school. This first segment's brought to you by Patrick Glaris and his team over at Cardinal Financial.
It's later in the show notes.
It shouldn't be, though. It's the first read in the block. It has to be. PatrickGlaros.com. PatrickGlaros.com. Just do what I do when you have a mortgage question. Don't try to solve it. Don't Google it. Don't even Bing it. Just reach out to Patrick and his team because they are experts. They're the ones that I trust. You can go to PatrickGlaros.com. You can actually start a loan app there on the site, and that doesn't negatively affect your credit or anything. I'll just get the ball rolling for you to get some information on what rates are probably available, what payments might look like. Could you afford that house? Should you start going and looking at open houses, or should you get some ducks in a row more? All that starts at PatrickGlaros.com. Patrick's been my go-to mortgage guy for 23 years, I believe. My wife and I have never done a personal mortgage with literally anyone other than Patrick. I think that would be wise for you too. Check it out, PatrickGlaros.com. Now, Colleyville is a very cool place. People often refer to it as South Lake Colleyville, as if they're kind of the one community. It's kind of like Wiley, Saxe, Murphy. Like they're different, but they make up sort of one larger community. But Colleyville got some great neighborhoods out there, some really big, great neighborhoods with well-built homes, great communities. Schools are really highly thought of in Colleyville. It's absolutely popularly known as a safe area to live. People tend to be really proud of being from Colleyville. It's got a tight-knit community. They've got some good local community-driven events by the city of Colleyville run really well. It tends to be a higher-end community. The average cost of housing is certainly higher. Your average is probably 5-something. You can get into Colleyville in the 4s. And there's definitely lots of housing in the 600, 700, 800 range. But it is an accessible community for a beginner, first-time homeowner. Not as much as some other areas, but it is possible. But definitely known for some nice big properties, well-maintained neighborhoods, lots of high-end access to restaurants and shopping, if not in Colleyville, although there are in Colleyville. Definitely some of those surrounding areas like South Lake and Frisco and McKinney and some of those other areas as well. From a real estate perspective, the Colleyville market has held really firm. It's been a good, active, productive market where sellers tend to have more leverage and buyers are still competing a little bit and having to pay full market. That's a good thing if you're there. Colleyville does have its own sort of personality, charm, as a small town. It doesn't feel old country, small town-ish, but it's got some charm. And it's got all the modern conveniences and new retail and restaurants, but it's also got, you can tell when you're there that it's not brand new. It's not just a suburb. It's got some history. It's got some charm. It's got some things to be proud of when it comes to some of those city, festivals and community events and longtime residents that are have really contributed to the area for a while. It's on a bunch of the lists of like great places to live, safe places to live, awesome places to commute into Dallas and Fort Worth or Frisco and McKinney from. Just a cool place to live. One of the words that comes to mind for me for Colleyville is clean. Nice, clean, really well kept, well maintained. The police and fire and city services do a great job out there. What comes to mind for you, Courtney or Ian, when you're thinking Colleyville? What pops into mind? Just kind of mental word association. What are you thinking when you think Colleyville?
South Lake.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. It's like people say South Lake Colleyville like you would say Wiley Saxey Murphy. It's like it's that one.
Yeah,
they're different. South Lake's kind of more known for high school football and stuff sometimes, and Colleyville tends to be, in my mind at least, more kind of neighborhood known.
Are the house vibes similar to South Lake vibes? Are they smaller?
Yeah,
Are they
no,
big?
very
too?
similar. And honestly, some pockets closer to the water and things. Colleyville's kind of sneaky's not the word, but less known for, but very prevalent. Some beautiful, big estate properties. Some big, nice $1 million+ gorgeous homes. That understated is maybe a good word for it, but you're like, you got these big homes and people aren't trying to show them off. They're just like, I got a big, gorgeous house. I live in Colleyville. I love where I live. We don't need to shake it up. We like it the way it is. Kind of feel.
It's close to the airport.
Closer to the airport, close to the lake, close to lots of great retail, tons of restaurants in and certainly right around Colleyville, whether you're talking about South Lake, you're talking about Grapevine, not even that far from Frisco and things like huge, big, awesome retail. It's a hot spot, kind of north central metroplex-ish. You probably a little bit more leaning to some of the west side stuff, but not that far from some of the northeast side stuff too. It's a great spot.
And on November 23rd at 5:30 p.m., they're having a Christmas tree lighting celebration. And any place that has a Christmas tree lighting celebration is all right in my book.
Listen.
Santa's coming to town.
We like the Christmas. And by the way, when we said Wiley Saxey Murphy, that's what was sticking in my head is Murphy does this really cool Christmas tree lighting. And that's the vibe Colleyville gives off too, is like, hey, we got all the big city stuff. We got restaurants and movie theaters and 27 coffee shops and all that stuff. But we also still encourage people, the city does. They do a good job of this, getting people together for these small festivals, the booth things, the come meet your neighbors, light the Christmas tree, create the reindeer food kind of vibe, which I think is cool. I think there's real charm to that. It's good to be new and clean and fresh, but it's great to have some charm and personality. And Colleyville does that very, very well.
RepublicTitle.com is where you can go to find out all the services that Republic Title offer. There's multiple locations in the Metroplex. We work primarily with the Richardson location, and Christina and all the fine folks over there, they take such good care of our clients. I have closed properties with them. Todd has closed properties with them. And they just really go above and beyond to make sure that folks are taken care of, to make sure that everything is above board as it should be on a real estate transaction. Unfortunately, there are multiple places where it's just not done real well. It's just done a little bit sloppy, not double checking things, and mistakes happen, and it drives me crazy. Doesn't happen over at Republic Title. RepublicTitle.com, 972-423-8777, RepublicTitle.com. All right, so here's a question for you. How much land is the right amount of land?
Sounds like official. Like there's only one right answer here.
What I wanted to say was, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
If he could chuck wood.
Right.
Got it.
Well, how much land
as much as he could was always
is the
my
right
answer.
amount?
The right amount of land is more, in my opinion. If I'm being really honest, I feel like very rarely are people like, it's just too much. We just have too much space. We own too much of it. Now, occasionally you'll hear like, I'm tired of mowing it. That tends to be someone that's older, that's experienced and lived and enjoyed their land, and now it's just work. But for the younger, certainly middle-aged, certainly families and growing families, people that want their privacy, people that want room to play, people that want the workshop, to have a business, to work on cars, to collect anything, to have room to run and play, to have the ponds, the basketball courts, the orchard, greenhouse, soccer field, trails, ride the four-wheelers, have horses, have chickens, all those people, which is like lots of people, would almost always enjoy more land. Think about the times you visited a friend's place and their backyard was bigger than you thought it was, and you're like, oh, wow, what's the next comment?
I love this.
Yeah, this is amazing. This is great. Oh my gosh, I wish we had this. I wish I didn't grow up like this, right? It's always aspirational. So the answer to the question is one size does not fit all, of course. It's how do you want to live? If you're the kind of person that's like, we don't love outdoors, we don't like bugs, we don't like fires, we don't like, we're big TV, we're big music people, then maybe you shouldn't have a big backyard. Maybe you should be in a 0 lot property or townhome or a condo. There's something for everyone. This is Dallas Fort Worth, y'all. We got it all. But the question is the right amount. The question is how much is the right amount of land? The answer is depends on how you want to live. If you have a family of 4, 5, or 6 or more, I would assume there's at least one person in your family that would really like to get outside and move, run around, ride around, play basketball, play volleyball. One of my kids had a birthday party recently and they played Nukem. Like it's volleyball where you just throw it and catch it. I'm not going to say which kid because it's almost childish, but one of the older ones, they played for like 4 hours, Nukem. But it was great because they had room to be way back away from the house, back in the field. They played forever. And the kids that didn't want to do that ran around and did other stuff. I say bigger is better. But the reality is people often don't even know what an amount of land really translates to. We have a great video on our YouTube channel. You should check it out right now. Just look up my name, Todd Tremonti, on YouTube. It's basically the video is what is an acre? How much is an acre actually, right? And so it could look a lot of different ways. It's 43,560 square feet because you got to learn that to get a real estate license. But the point is, if your house is at the back of an acre and the bulk of it is front yard and that front yard's on a busy road, you're going to use it a lot differently than if it's all in the back and it's super shaded, right? So not all acres are equal. I would tell you people start to really spread out and enjoy things when they get to an acre and a half and beyond. An acre and a half, 2 acres, 3 acres. By all means, if you have 5 or 10 acres, you can do just about anything you want. Now, it's also a ton of fun to be in the neighborhood, but maybe you've got the corner cul-de-sac lot that's like half an acre, and most people have 2/10 of an acre, so you got 2.5 times what other people have. But it's not, you don't need a different mower, you don't need anything crazy. You just got a big backyard. And now you can have the fire pit, you can have the trampoline, you can have the tree house, you can have a couple of different little microclimates or areas that feel like different spaces, the shaded patio, kind of the pergola area. You can have it all on half an acre. So all 1/2 acre, 1 acre is not the same as another. So all that matters. And really what I would say is a great real estate agent that knows what they're talking about when it comes to larger lots will help you tremendously. Now, at the Todd Tremonti Home Selling Team, that is one of our 2 core areas of specialization, what we call homes on land, which is like 1/2 acre or more, 1 to 10 acres, not farm and ranch, but a giant yard. We also specialize in neighborhood homes. So we can kind of cover you from, hey, I want a great house in a great neighborhood with schools and friends and neighbors, and I want a bigger backyard where we can run and play and have privacy and have all these things. Just reach out to us. You don't have to be ready to buy or sell it. Let's talk about it because so many people do dream about it, but they don't know the right size. They don't know the right budget. They don't know if they could pull it off. And when we talk to people, I would say the vast majority leave the call super excited going, this is way more achievable than I thought it was. And then they get to go and do that. So give us a call, 214-310-0008, or jump online, toddtremontiteam.com. Click any button, fill out any form, text or call any phone number, and we would be thrilled to talk to you about areas where you can get a bigger lot, how much land would be right, how much house, what budget, what are the other aspects you need to learn about, like perimeter or wells or water or mowing or access or solar or all the things that are a little different on a home on land, and we'll get you squared away. 214-310-0008. Now, one of the other things we've done on our home on land that we love is we had good garage floors come out. Yes, they did the garage floors, and we love that. It's cleaner. It's prettier. It smells better. It's easier to maintain, and it increased our value, no doubt. It looks great. But we also had goodgaragefloors.com out in the backyard convert our old banged up, just kind of concrete pad into a really good looking 3-tone kind of acetone stain boundary line, really great looking sport court for pickleball and basketball, and then kind of tidied up a little bocce pit area as well. Goodgaragefloors.com will handle all your concrete services, pool decks, patios, sport courts, driveways, walkways, and of course, your garage floors. GoodGarageFloors.com. They've got a 20% discount for all of our listeners and our friends and our clients through the end of the fall. GoodGarageFloors.com.
Yep. Let me tell you about a really cool thing that we got to do this past week, which was the conference that we did. And it was so awesome to be in a room with 150 plus professionals that want to grow and learn. And honestly, it was encouraging for me because I'm around this all the time. And so
in the business.
Yeah, but I'm around our team too. And I'm reminded at something like that what we do here is different, because there's a lot of folks out there that are just trying to kind of figure it out and wing it, or they're by themselves. And we get to do this with some really great folks. Like me and you get to do this with a team. And it was just encouraging. It was an encouraging reminder. And it got me excited to be able to tell folks like, hey, when we're telling you that we approach this differently, I was reminded just again that like we do approach this differently.
Okay, I want to come back to you in just a second, because I'm going to share this happens every year for me. But I would like you to share one or two things that are specific that actually does make us different. When you get around other people, you're like, man, they're not doing this. My takeaway every year is how grateful I am for the people that are on this team, the Todd Tremonti home selling team. Similar to what Ian said. When I get around 150 plus other agents, brokers, team leaders at our conference, also the sponsors who are there that are interacting with thousands of real estate agents, team leaders, and brokers every year, they tell us, your team is different. These people are different. We have a huge technology company that participates in our event, and they say all the time, we would like to be around your team more. We would like to get their feedback more. Your team is different. Now, again, I assembled the team, so I'm not taking a ton of credit, but I go out into the world and I find incredible people that care for others, that are wildly intelligent, that are fun to be around, and that work really, really hard for their trophies. And their trophies, they're the signs of their success. The prizes are the success stories of our clients. When a family avoids financial ruin, when a family achieves a generational goal, when a family begins to invest, when a client begins to build wealth through real estate, when a client upgrades, when somebody gets to downsize and move into that next stage of life and make a financial leapfrog move forward based on selling their house over the average price and under the average time, or buying a home below market value, or finding access to a property that they never knew existed or that they wouldn't have seen online, or learning strategies to build wealth and to, hedge against inflation and things like this in a real estate market that is very confusing. When people tell me, man, your team is different, I think I already knew that, but I'm reminded of how different, how high character, the fact that they're full-time, the fact that they're super committed and they specialize, and that everyone on our team is college degree. Not that that matters that much, but these are people that are really, truly committed to full-time careers of loving on, serving, and leading and guiding and advocating for people in the world of residential real estate with proprietary systems and marketing and staff and technology that is just not normal. But what are the not normal things that jump out at you after spending 3 days with hundreds of other agents?
Yeah, I think the biggest one for me is that we're not doing this alone, and there's a lot of people that have to do this alone. Like they've either chosen to be just be solo, or they don't have, because maybe they live in a smaller market, they don't have good teams. And by team, I don't just mean like a part of 300 people.
We share a logo.
Right. A team as in like together in the office. And one of the things that happens on a day-to-day basis here is we challenge each other and we correct each other. And we help people to get better and better on a daily basis, but not just me as a leader or you as a leader, but the agents with each other. And we put a bigger emphasis on that this year, like self-leadership, than I think we've ever done before. And I think people have done a really good job of like leading each other and leading themselves and asking for more help and acknowledging when they've made a mistake, but like wanting to actually learn and get better themselves. I think it's just, I was reminded of that.
Yeah, I'm always reminded of simple things too. Like we have a 7-step proprietary marketing system that allows our agents to guarantee to sell people's houses over the average price and under the average time. We have literally staff, like a normal real estate agent's working out of the car solo. They have staff. They have full-time, team of people supporting them to support the client. So the client never works alone. They also have a 13-point buyer program. They're able to offer these guarantees. They're able to offer cruise incentives. They're able to get help on contracts, help with valuations and negotiations. So the actual technical work is more valuable to their clients. Therefore, get more clients, add more value for the client, repeat referral, build a better business. We coach agents all over North America. That's why we do this conference. We get to pour that into them. They get to go home. But ultimately, I'm proud because our agents and our staff are using their God-given gifts and abilities to add value in the world and be faithful in our business at the Todd Tremonti Home Selling Team.
Hey, Court, I got a question for you.
Yes.
Wonderful segment where Courtney learns real estate. My question for you, Courtney, is if you were working with a client, which you can't because you're not licensed, but if you were, what are some of the things that you cannot tell people, cannot talk about when it comes to buying a house?
All right. I can't tell them what to do.
Okay. That's very broad, but
okay. I mean, I think I know. Like, I can't tell them about schools.
Yeah.
Like you this isn't a good or bad.
Tell them that they exist.
There are no schools here. We don't go to school here. I mean, there's a school here, and you may look at this website to assess the situation.
They can do that.
And
tell them that.
And I can't tell you about crime here, but here's a website to assess the situation.
Also correct.
I support it. That's a 92, 92%.
Fair.
That's an A. Listen, folks, real estate agents are professionally licensed by the State Real Estate Commission. And as silly as some of that sounds, we're obviously limited, not that we would ever want to, but for discrimination or steering or trying to overly push or pull someone to or from a certain neighborhood. Now, a buyer is free to make their decisions however they want. They can make a decision based on socioeconomic status or something like that. We, however, cannot guide someone to a certain racial makeup or certain scores in a school. You can do that. This is a free country. Your real estate agent would point you towards great resources and then help you make a great real estate decision.
When did they establish this about you guys?
Forever ago. It's always developing. There's constant changes. There are different protected classes have been added over time. Different definitions and legal statutes have been created outside of real estate and then injected into real estate. And for the most part, they are good and they are helpful and they are functional. There are some that might actually get in the way and kind of create some distance between an agent and the client, which we don't love. But of course, we want buyers to be able to buy and sellers to be able to sell without anybody harming them in any way, discriminating, hurting them, taking anything away from them. So it's a decent Courtney Learns Real Estate because it actually helps people understand you do need a great agent. There are certain things an agent is not going to say or provide, but you as a free American can make whatever choice you want, and a good, ethical, honest agent will help you get the real estate part of that finished. Now, if we can help you with the real estate part of your life, buy, sell, invest, refinance, remodel, anything, just call or text 214-310-0008. And don't you ever forget,
find out what your home would sell for right now in under a minute at ToddTremontiTeam.com.